Marketing in the home services industry has changed so much over the past few decades, and at an even more rapid pace these last few years, almost to a point it's impossible to keep up with what's trending. Have you ever felt like marketing in today's economy is like flushing money down the toilet? That's where we come in and help honest home services companies just like yours learn and understand some of the most effective marketing strategies today. Strategies used by some of the top home services companies around the world. My name is Javier Lozano Jr., and welcome to the Trust Tipping Point Marketing Podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Trust Tipping Point Marketing Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Javier Lozano Jr. with Anchor Wave. And so we got another great episode that we'll be covering today. And really what we're doing here is we're really kind of explaining a little bit more about this whole trust tipping point thing. And I know we're kind of almost beating this thing in. We had this an interview that was amazing with Lily that was explaining a little bit more about trust. And then our first podcast was explaining about why we named this a trust tipping point, all this other stuff. And so what I'm trying to do is I want to educate a lot of our guests that are listening to this podcast about this whole trust tipping point and where it kind of journeys. And so this is kind of what I mean by this is that, like, today we'll be talking about is your website. And, you know, what does your website have to do and what can it do to create trust and build it? And so over the next few episodes that you'll be seeing as well too is just like discussing a little bit more about reviews and what the reviews can do to building more trust for your business. Discussing a little bit more about your Google searches and what you can do to show up correctly on Google and how that builds trust. So where I'm getting to is all of these pillars is what I want to kind of cover is that all these pillars are all part of the trust tipping point journey. And so your future customer, they're interested in your business, they're interested in your service. They need you to help them trust them more. And it starts with the first thing. It's your storefront. Your storefront is your website. Your website is what's going to either push someone away and say, I don't know about this, or they're going to be more intrigued and engaged and actually start interacting with your website. They'll start clicking on links. They'll start, reading some blog posts. They'll do all sorts of stuff. And so that's what you're trying to do is really what you're trying to do is you're trying to shorten this journey on getting your buyer to your future buyer to call you, to actually want to purchase your service, to have their landscaping done, to have their plumbing fixed, whatever it is. But the thing is that it really does start with that website. And so your website, it needs to convey certain things. And so before I dive into what a website needs to look like and what you need to have on your website, I want to explain something, be very clear on this, is that most people, most companies, most businesses believe marketing is this. You run an ad, you set them to a store and they buy. Or you run an ad, you set them to your website and they buy. That's exactly how they do this. And I'm not faulting you if you think this all the time, because everyone does this. Every major business does this. Like, we got done watching the Super Bowl about a month ago and everyone was running ads and then sending them to a website or sending them to a store to go buy something. You see what I'm saying? So like, we see this, you're like, well, this is how it works. And I want to reiterate this. This is what was mentioned in my last interview with Lily, is that whenever we do that, what's really going on is that you're missing out on a big piece of the pie. Only 4% of people, only 4% of buyers actually take action. Only 4%. So that means is this: if you ran an ad, you sent them to your website, and you expect them to buy. If you ran an ad and 100 people saw that ad, and then 100 people, let's just assume that all 100 people went to your website, only 4 of them are going to buy from you. What about those other 96 people? They are on a different journey, okay? And this is why I'm really hitting this whole trust tipping point to help our home services industries understand that the purpose, that what we're trying to really emphasize is that your future customer is on a different journey. If you understand that, and then you can help guide them through that journey to make the best decision for their family, for themselves, on hiring you, then what you've done is you've probably gained a customer for life, but more importantly, you've become the expert, the authority, the person that knows the most about this stuff. Okay. So I'm just want to make sure that we all understand this is that this whole trust tipping point journey, it's different. Okay. And your buyer is not just going to buy just because they saw an ad. They're not going to call you just because, your website says that you've been around in business since 1974 or that you're a licensed business. Like no one's going to watch that. No one's going to react that. Like every business should be licensed. Every business should have insurance. Like that's not a selling point. And so where I'm kind of getting to now is that your website needs to have more than just like these features, okay, about what you do. All right. So before we dive into that, let me talk about websites. Websites first need to look modern. All right. They need to be up to date. They need to have something that has been designed within the past, I'd say no later than 3 years. Okay. And you should be updating your website probably every 2 to 3, maybe 4 years. On like ongoing. And if you say no, my website it stands the test of time, really, yeah, like your website stands the test of time. Like look at cars, look at your iPhone. This is an iPhone 8 plus, 8s plus, or whatever. It's the last version before it went into like the face recognition and whatever, right? I've had this for 3 years. This thing has seen better days. Okay. There are better iPhones out there right now. Does this still work? Yeah, it works. Am I missing out on some other features? Probably. Okay. Am I going to be updating it for a new iPhone? Yeah. Okay. And you should be doing the same thing with your website. Your website needs to be modern and up to date. And so, what does that mean? What is modern and up to date? What I'm getting to is that it needs to be, in a sense, where when someone goes there, someone feels like this is a freshly clean, freshly designed site. It looks like other sites that they see, not other home services sites that they see, other sites that they're accustomed to seeing. It needs to be like that. If you understand that, okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to get this whole, okay, these guys are up to date. They're modern. Okay. Does that sort of make sense? Like a great example is this is if your workers, if your HVAC technicians show up to sites not in uniform, in like ratty shirts and jeans, looking out of unprofessional, does that look modern? Does that look professional? Does that look like, hey, I want to serve you and help solve your problems? It doesn't. So if your technicians are supposed to look like, nice polo, tucked in shirts, relatively clean jeans, working tight boots, like they have to look and act the part, then your website needs to do the same thing too. Your website needs to look and act the part as well. So your website is really designed, if you probably hear those really loud noises, it's these guys are cleaning our streets or something. Anyways, these websites are really designed to really start kind of building that layer of like, oh, I trust you, I know who you are, I get what you do, that sort of stuff. And when you get that, if you need to have a modern website, then that's going to be the beginning. And so I know a lot of companies go to like Wix or go to, what are those other types of Squarespace. Okay, those other types of websites that like they're like, well, they're easy to build. They're easy to build, but they're not optimized correctly to where people can find you the way they should be. And there's certain things, there's I guess the best way I can explain this, there's certain setbacks that you don't get out of it. All right. I I can do landscaping. Okay. I can go and dig a hole in my backyard. I can go and lay paver stones. I can move rock. I can lay retaining walls. Is it gonna look good? Probably not. Okay. So like there's a lot of stuff that I can do. And then there's things I'm like, you know what though? I'd probably be better off hiring someone than me actually doing this myself. Okay. I can watch plenty of YouTube videos that tells me how to do landscaping in my backyard. Okay. Like there's all these things that I can do myself, but I'm not going to do it. And the reason I'm not going to do that is I don't know how to do it as quickly, as efficiently, and as correctly as a professional in that specific trade. All right. Same thing with HVAC. All right. I worked for an HVAC company for 18 months. I can't I can't diagnose what's wrong with my HVAC. I can I can change the filter. I can turn on the thermostat. I can change the thermostat. Like those like there's a few things I can definitely do, and then others I'm like I have no clue what I'm doing. Again, I'm going to hire someone that's a professional. Okay, and that's how your website should be. You should hire someone that's a professional that knows how to design a high converting website that shares your message, that talks about your brand, all that stuff. So, what I really want to kind of really emphasize is that don't skimp out on your website. People in companies that say, well, I just have a website up because it's just like having a yellow page, ad in the yellow pages. No, no, no. Today, your website is the first thing people see because they're going to be going to Google. They're going to be typing stuff in. If your site happens to show up, good job. You showed up organically, good, or you're running ads. If your site looks like trash, you just lost them. Again, I just told you this, that 4% of people actually take action and buy. So if we sent you 100 people, only 4 people are going to show up. And if your website's not modern, you might get 0. Okay. So that's what I'm really trying to drive this part in is that we're trying to really get people to understand that if you want to get more business, if you want to get more customer activity, all that stuff, you need to start with the foundation, the first pillar. Okay. Having a modern, up-to-date website. Okay. Hire someone that actually knows what they're doing, that's going to deliver a good website, and don't skimp out on price because we see this all the time as well too. All right. Like what do you do whenever you're hiring a landscaper? You get 3 bids. And you look at your highest one, you look at your lowest one, and we all know this, don't go with the cheapest. Okay. You look at your highest one, you're like, what are you offering that you're charging so much? And then you look at your middle one and you're like, well, this higher price one, they get this, and this, which is valued at this. This mid-tiered one, like I don't get all those things. I wonder what I would have to pay to get those things. And then sometimes you might go with a higher price because you're getting more value out of it. So that's how, consumers are taught to basically get quotes and bids for projects. Like we just hired a landscaper like last year, and he's scheduled, I think, to do some work for us in April. Okay. And we got bids. Same thing with our we had patio done. We had like 3 or 4 bids because they were all over the chart. They're literally all over the place. And then, we finally hired somebody. Where I'm coming from is that a lot of companies, they skimp out on this whole website thing because they don't believe it. They're like, well, websites don't generate me business. Well, if you have a trashy website, then guess what? Of course, it's not going to generate you any business. Do you really expect it to give you business if it doesn't look good? Like that doesn't make any sense. Okay. Do you expect to get more referrals if your landscaping is shoddy? Do you expect to get more referrals if you do a poor job in your HVAC work? Do you expect to get more referrals if your technicians don't look professional, don't take care of the customers, aren't polite? Like do you expect more referrals? No. And so that's where we need to understand this, is that like this all starts from the beginning. Okay. When someone is searching for your service, they find your brand, they go to your site, they need to see that this is a modern looking site. They need to see that you've invested in making this look good, up to date. Okay. They need to see that because buyers are getting smarter and smarter every day. All right. They're not dumb. They're really smart. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys 5 tips on what your website needs to have in order to help take that person through that trust tipping point journey. Okay, 5 tips. So tip number 1 is you need to have a web ready logo. Okay, web ready. This is what I mean by web ready. It's not pixelated. So if you don't understand what pixelated means, is that It's basically like a logo that you just scanned, okay? That, from either a patch that you have, or you like, I found it on my computer. I'm gonna just put it onto the website. It needs to be crisp. It needs to be clean. Think like Nike. Think Amazon. When you look at their logos, they're specifically designed for wherever they are. So they're designed the right way for like an app, or they're designed like the right way for a website. And it's not pixelated, meaning there's like, you see all the dots. It looks clean. Okay. So you need to understand that your logo needs to be web ready. Okay. And it needs to be like, it can't be too small and it can't be too big, because the way it loads on different devices. So if it loads on a phone and it's too big, it's gonna, basically take up the entire screen. If the logo is too big of a file, okay, it's gonna take up too long for the website to load that actual logo. So we've got these things about a web ready logo, like it can't be pixelated. It can't be too large of a file size, because then it'll take too long to load the site. And if a site takes too long, guess what? If it takes too long to load, then your buyer's going to leave. If your logo looks pixelated, then your buyer's going to be like, they don't even take the time to have a good stripe looking logo. They're going to leave. All right. If the logo is ginormous on the phone, they're going to be like, what the hell, man? They're going to leave. Okay. So like I'm telling you exactly how a buyer goes through some of the stuff. And it's interesting because I'll have my wife do a lot of the stuff around our house when it comes to hiring certain things, and then I'll kind of like evaluate as well too. And so when she's looking for a certain service to be done, so that first thing she does is she goes to Google and she finds something, and she's like, I couldn't find their website. They don't exist to me. She won't go there. Same thing with like, and then she'll look at Facebook. If she's like, I can't find them on Facebook either. They don't exist to me, even though she might have a phone number. Okay. Another one is she won't buy from someone where the site looks kind of shoddy. She's like, this looks a little sketchy. I don't think I'm going to buy from them. Okay. So that's where I want you guys to understand is that to help your buyer get through this trust tipping point journey, you need to have a web ready logo. Okay. Web. And if you don't have a logo that's web ready, then you need to hire a web design company that does this kind of stuff. Okay. So if you hire a web design company that understands how to create you a web ready logo, they'll take your current logo, they'll either make it where it's not going to be pixelated, and they'll give you different sizes of the logo. So sizes for the website, sizes for like for Facebook, sizes for say like LinkedIn. They'll give you different sizes of that logo so you can use it in the appropriate places. Okay. So that's something that's really beneficial of working with a web design company that does web ready logos, and does maybe even like create your own logo. So let's say that you're in the market of getting a new logo. Okay. I understand that's not something that a lot of home services companies don't want to do, because the cost of getting a new logo is not so much the cost of getting the logo, it's the cost of rebranding everything else. So like all of your your polos and your shirts and your trucks and everything has to be rebranded. I get that. So if you don't want to rebrand the new logo, get a web ready logo. Okay. And so we can take a site or a logo and make it to where it's going to be ready for the website. It's going to be ready for your mobile. It's going to be ready for desktop. It'll be ready for Facebook. It'll be ready for LinkedIn. It'll be ready for everything. Okay. It won't be pixelated. You'll have different sizes based on whatever your needs are. That's important. So that's the number one, a web ready logo. Number two, your sales copy. Okay. That's basically the text on there, needs to be what we call persona-based conversion copy. Persona-based conversion copy. So what does that mean? Persona-based is like your person, the person that you're trying to sell. Okay. And conversion copy basically is that it's what you're writing that's designed to convert people to call, to take action, to want to buy. All right. That's what you're trying to create there. So you want sales copy that speaks to your ideal customer. Now, this is the best way I can explain this, is that we've all been up late at night watching stupid infomercials. And then there's that dude that's selling, this new frying pan, and says that nothing sticks to it, whatever it is. And the way they're speaking to you, you're like, wow, I didn't realize my life was messed up because the cheese stuck on my frying pan. I need to buy this. And that's what's going on, is that these infomercials, the way they're scripted, is that they have the right type of personality doing the selling. Okay. They have the right type of script that's getting people engaged. You're like, ooh, and all this other stuff. So same thing goes with websites that you buy things. All right. So if you are accustomed to buying stuff on the internet, pay attention to your buying habits. So when you're surfing and you're about to pull out your credit card and you're about to buy something, ask yourself this: why am I buying this? Why am I taking the time to buy this? And then you're going to probably, and it's going to be this, is that what you're reading, it's resonating with you, it's relating with you, and it's solving a problem that you have, and you want to have that problem solved immediately. So that's why you pulled out your credit card and you're going to pay for whatever that is, whether it's $7, whether it's $27, whether it's $97, whether it's $2,000, whatever it is. So your website, the conversion copy, the sales copy, it shouldn't be written in a generic format. You shouldn't have a generic type where it's for everybody. And if you say, well, we do work for everyone. No, you don't. If you market to everybody, then you market to nobody. You need to speak to a specific type of audience. Okay. And so like best example I can give you on like speaking to the best type of audience is that I've got a friend that's getting a pool built in Florida, and he's getting some bids and quotes. And so one of the places he called, and then the guy goes, we don't do any jobs that is under $100,000. We only do premium work over 100 grand. And he's like, oh, okay. So stop talking to him. Here's the thing. That needs to be conveyed on the website, because then otherwise my friend never would have called. At least the person that answered the phone told him that. Now, you're not going to put on your phone and say, or you're on your website say, we only do projects that are over $100,000. But what you can do is you can say, we focus on premium based projects that include this. Does that make sense? So you're going to use certain types of language on your website that calls out to your ideal customer. Okay. And when you do that, all of a sudden that person is reading that sales copy and they feel like they're getting spoken to by a professional that gets them. And so like, another way of thinking about this is that the sales copy on your website should be your top salesperson. Okay. Because it's working 24/7, 365. It should be generating leads. It should be generating phone calls. It should be generating inquiries. And if it's not doing that, then your website isn't really designed to convert. And so I've seen this a lot. And when I was in the HVAC space, I occasionally had people call me and say, hey, I know you're really good at marketing. Can you help me kind of figure out why our website isn't doing well? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I take a look at it. And then, and there were brands I didn't know, like Bryant, I think is an HVAC unit. And I'm like, what's Bryant? He's like, it's the type of unit we sell. I'm like, no one cares about that. He's like, what do you mean? I go, think about this. Do you think someone's going to call you and say, hey, I need to make sure you give me a Bryant air conditioning unit? He's like, no one ever would say that. So why are you putting that on your website? No one cares about that. You know what they care about? They care about, what you're going to do, how you're going to fix their HVAC system, how, you only offer the best premium packages or service, or whatever it is. They care about their problems being solved. And so what you don't want to do is on your website as well, is you don't want to have what we call technobabble. Okay. Where you're using industry jargon. All right. People put in like, these certifications, with different industries and organizations. No one cares about that. No one knows what it is. Like there's a certain certification in the HVAC industry, which I actually forgot what it is. I used to know what it was. It's like, I don't know. I forget what it is, but no one cares about those things. Like you should be certified. It just should be a given. Okay. You should be licensed and bonded. Like that should be a given. That doesn't sell people. What sells people is that it's like, hey, is your HVAC, down during the winter months? during winter, like the coldest time of winter, will get to your house in under 24 hours and have your system up and running. Like that sells somebody. Does that make sense? So you want to have your sales copy speaking to your audience, making them feel emotional about what you're talking about, okay? And be like, man, I really need to hire these guys. And if your website doesn't do that, then you need to hire a good, strong copywriter, okay? A copywriter that understands your business, that understands how to write copy that's going to help convert and make people want to either call you or opt in for something like basically, put in their name, phone number, email, that sort of stuff, or something else, right? But it needs to make them take action. And so the best way to know if your website is doing this is that you want to see if you're getting leads on a regular basis from your website. And if it's coming through your site and the sales copy is strong, then that's good. That means that you're doing something right. But if you're not getting a lot of leads, like let's say you're getting phone calls, that might be good, but make sure you're tracking this stuff. But at the end of the day, when you have sales copy, that's something that not a lot of home service type companies have experience in doing. And so I personally would recommend hiring that out. I wouldn't even try to bother writing it. Okay. There's certain things that I'm really good at sales copy. I'm really good at copywriting for emails and stuff like that. And there's other times whenever I'll hire somebody out to do certain things because I don't have the time. I don't have the complete knowledge of something. And then when I read everything, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And then I'll tweak it to kind of fit what I'm trying to sell or to convey or whatever. Does that sort of make sense? So when you do that, you're going to start building more trust in your ideal customer. All right. Number 3, you need to make sure you have professional photography, professional illustration. Okay. No stock photos. I repeat, 0 stock photos. Okay. Like the person that's calling your business, they want to see the receptionist, all right, that's answering the phone. They wanted to know who the owner is, and not just like, Jack's been to the owner since 1924. That's a pretty old owner. 1974. Okay. Like they want to see these people. They want to see them in their uniform. They want to see them in their trucks. They want to see them doing work. They want to see their work. They want to see videos of them doing work. Does this make sense now? Like you don't want to use stock images. Like we all know what a stock image looks like. It's cheesy, it's corny, it doesn't look authentic, none of that stuff. Okay. And if you're saying, well, Javier, we don't keep a lot of our employees, then maybe you got to do something to keep more employees on a regular basis, or you need to update your pictures professionally on a regular basis. But you want to have professional pictures. Okay. And it's really, really important to have professional pictures throughout your site because it tells a story. All right. You've got the sales copy that is, words sell, that's selling you. And then you have like pictures that are like, oh, wow, this is the owner. And this is how he looks like. He doesn't look like some scary guy that I don't want to come to my house. Like he looks like a normal, legit person. You want to do that. And so that's going to help you continue to build more trust because then now you're becoming more transparent. You're using your sales copy to tell a story, to get them to trust you, to get them to actually take action. You're using the images, okay, of professional photography to actually get someone to be like, oh, wow, these guys are great. I see that this is what their truck looks like. This is what their shop looks like. This is a lot of what their work looks like. This is amazing. Like all those things. When you're doing that, then what you've done is that you're helping your future customer gain more trust about what you offer, what you do. And they're going to call you. They're going to opt into whatever lead magnet you might have. They're going to take action. So give your future buyers an opportunity to trust you even more. Okay. Like trust me when I say this. Okay. Anyways, I know I'm like really harping in this whole trust thing, but this is what it's about. Okay. All right. So next thing, what you want to have, number 4, is you want to have branded typography. All right. And you're like, branded typography. What the heck is that? Do you guys notice what here's a great example. This book right here. This book that I've read before several times called Expert Secrets. Okay. That's branded typography. See that? He has another book. Russell Brunson has another book that is called .com Secrets, and it is literally the same way. The only thing that's different is that where it says expert, it says .com, and where it says secret, it's the same way. Same font. Same font. Okay. He has another book. It's called Traffic Secrets. Same font. You want to have branded typography. You have a certain type of font that you use throughout your entire branding on your website, on your social media, on your images, all of it. And if you're wondering, does it really matter? What do you think? Like Amazon does it, Nike does it, Under Armour does it, Carrier that makes air conditioning units does it. Why shouldn't you? You want to have a typography that is about your brand. Don't use silly ones like Comic Sans or something like that, okay? And so what's amazing with websites right now, okay, especially if you have them designed by a professional web design company, is that they can help you create a branded typography, okay, that is specific for your brand. All right. There's different styles, and they'll look at your style. And we do this actually at Anchorwave too. They'll look at your style, and they'll look at your brand. They'll look at everything else, and they'll say, this is what we recommend, that you have this type of typography because it goes along with what you're trying to convey. Okay, it's easier to read. It does this, it does that, etc. And then they'll give you like examples, like this is how it looks like in this. This is how it looks like in this style. This is how it looks like in this style. And they'll give you like 2 or 3 examples, and then you can select whichever one is best for your brand. When you start doing that, now you're getting to this whole thing of that you're branding your company is not only being a trustworthy, authoritative brand, okay, but you have your own type of font, okay, you have your own type of style. And lastly, number 5, you have a color palette, okay, a color palette that is used throughout your site, okay. And like when you think Amazon, you think of, let me pull up my app for Amazon. All right. So when you think Amazon, they've updated it, but their color palette is going to be blue, a little bit of orange, because the little smiley thing, right? Little smiley face. And then they just now added like this whole cardboard color. It's their color palette. Under Armour does the same thing too. Okay. A lot of brands, Apple does the same thing. A lot of brands do this. So when you're trying to figure out typography and color palette, don't look at other home services companies. All right. A lot of companies do this. They'll look at like, well, let me go look at my competitor and see what they're doing. Don't do that. Look at other top brands outside of your space. Look at like technology companies. Look at clothing companies. Look at retail companies. Like look at those brands and see what they're doing and model that. Why would you want to model that? Because they're making a crap ton of money. They spend a ton on branding. They do a lot of market research. Okay. They're figuring, they have this all figured out. Model them. And when you model them, what that does is that it makes you look different from everybody else in your space. So that's something that I experienced whenever I was working at CMI Mechanical, the HVAC company I used to work for in Denver. He, like our CEO would be like, let's go look at, our competitor and see what he's doing. I'm like, no. He's like, why not? I go, because you don't want to be like him. You're trying to be different. Everyone else is doing what these guys are doing. And so you want to stand out from the crowd. So which is why I put typography and color palette at the bottom of this entire thing, is because that's going to make you even stand out differently and further from everybody else. Like there's a reason why Lennox has a certain type of, color palette, and Carrier has a certain type of color palette. Okay. Like Carrier is blue, Lennox is red. Like they chose those colors for a reason. And so when you do this and you use it correctly throughout your website, it looks very professional, it looks branded, and those colors are going to help sell more. Okay, because it's a modern looking website. So that's basically like the first pillar, if you will, of that trust tipping point journey, where you're taking your buyer through a shorter journey by making sure the website is modern and up to date. So the site has to have been, updated within the past 2 or 3 years. Okay. And if it hasn't, you need to invest in it. Okay. Spend money. And I know some people are going to ask me like, well, how much money should I spend? You should spend a significant amount of money because it's going to return dividends. So let me kind of explain this. Okay. If you spend $15,000 on a new modern website, okay, $15,000 and it lasts you for, let's say, 3 years, right? $5,000 a year. Do you think you can make at least $5,000 a year from your website that is modern, web ready, has persona-based conversion copy, good sales copy, professional photography, nice branding as far as typography, and a great color palette? Do you think you can make your $5,000 per year for the next 3 years back? Yes, you will. You'll probably make 10 times that, 20 times that, 100 times that. Hopefully it's a lot. And the reason I'm saying this is that people are buying things that are making them emotionally feel safe. Okay. And so when you understand this, you're going to be, you'll be getting a significant return in your investment. So don't look at it as in like, man, I got to drop 15 grand on a website. No, look at it as in like, this is going to be a great opportunity to make a lot of money on my website. When I had my own business, I spent how much? I think like $3,000 a year, roughly $3,000 a year on my website. That's what we spent. I made 30 leads off of my site per month. We would we'd set 15 appointments of those 30 leads, and we would have, say, 13 to 14 of them show up and then close like 10 of them, right? And that was every single month. And we were selling packages of anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 for each enrollment. That was the entire total package. Okay. If you looked at monthly, it'd be like, let's just say $200, right? So if we enrolled 10 people, $200, that's $2,000. That's just for 1 month. Multiply that times X amount of months. Trust me, I've already paid for my website on just 1 month. Does that sort of make sense? So your website will generate you revenue. It's just a lot of companies don't think it does. They think that it's just useless and they just put it out there it's just a check in the box. That's all it is. Don't do that, because that's what a lot of people do. Okay. And they don't realize that consumers are really savvy and that they're looking to see websites and see who they're going to be buying from based on their websites. That's the first thing they see, most professional thing. Okay. Invest in it. And so I use $15,000 as a random number, but you might be spending roughly that on a good website. And if you're thinking, Javier, that is ridiculous. That is out of control. Is it really? Is it really out of control? Like the amount of money I'm spending for my landscaping, I think it's expensive, but after comparing it with other people, it's a fair price. It's good quality work. Okay. Don't skimp out on what's going to get you the most business. Okay. And it's going to possibly be your best salesperson. Okay. All right, guys. So I hope this was actually really valuable. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. And other than that, something I want to kind of, put in there is, well, let's just say a shameless plug. But our company, Anchorwave, we do web design. And we're really good at it. And we do things a little differently. And you might be listening to in the middle of this podcast, and also at the end of the podcast, we have this thing called a marketing hub. And marketing hub is a really different way of how to do a website. So we've stopped selling websites as of this year. We no longer sell websites. We only sell marketing hubs. And the reason we sell marketing hubs is because of what we're just talking about right now, this whole trust tipping point journey. Is because what we've realized after 18 years of designing websites and over 1,300, almost 1,400 websites that we've designed, that there is a certain path and journey that buyers are going through. When we realized this, we couldn't continue to sell websites the way we used to in the past. We had to change. Okay. So this new innovative way of designing websites, not only is it going to be revolutionary for your company, okay, it's going to make you stand out from all the other companies out there that you're competing with in your space. Okay. And so what I'm getting to is that if you really do need a website, you want to have a consultation, you want to discuss it, let's talk, man. Let's see. Like, we're not going to try to help sell you hard. We're going to do an honest evaluation of your site, give you some feedback, and go from there. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, no big deal. So anyways, if you're interested in learning more about that, what you can do is you can go to anchorwave.com/playbook. Okay. If you go to anchorwave.com/playbook, we'll schedule a time to discuss a little more about your website and then basically give you feedback about your website and see what we can do to make it better. Okay. So hope this was valuable, guys. I love talking about this kind of stuff. And if you guys were a little hurt about me being a little harsh, maybe you're in the wrong industry. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you guys another time. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Trust Tipping Point Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Javier Lozano Jr. A lot of home services companies come to us at Anchorwave needing help with their overall marketing strategy and their digital presence. So what we ended up doing is creating a custom marketing playbook to help businesses just like yours in the home services space have an improved digital marketing roadmap for 2021. One of the highlights during this home services custom playbook is the importance of having a marketing hub, which we call as a website killer. And I'll be honest here, today's websites are dead, outdated, and ineffective. After 17 years and 1,300 plus websites, we've discovered the best approach to increase customer activity and to win more business is by having a marketing hub. A marketing hub will help set your home services business apart from your competition and place you as a leader in your space. So to learn more about what a marketing hub is, schedule a free custom home services playbook by going to anchorwave.com/playbook. You're going to answer 7 simple questions and we'll give you free access to this playbook. Again, go to anchorwave.com/playbook to get free access to our home services digital marketing playbook.